So, what kind of questions do you have? There's got to be something on your mind. Something.
You a teacher?
I'm a scientist at
Oh.
San Diego. I do teaching.
Sandia High School or
I'm sorry?
Sandia High School?
No, Sandia Labs.
Sandia Labs.
Oh,
So I do
Labs.
research in weapons,
Yeah.
X-rays, math, computers, and something called data mining. So, how many of you guys use Facebook?
Yeah.
So if I gained access to your Facebook, I could do a lot of bad things.
Oh, you know how to do that?
Yes.
Oh, you
Like
know
hack
how to
stuff?
hacking it?
Yes. I hack all the time.
My older brother knows how to, but he's
Probably not as good as me.
no.
So, what is hack? You guys talk about hacking. Hack this, hack that. What is hacking?
Getting in people's Facebook and
That's
stuff.
not hacking.
No?
If I know what your password is, that's not hacking, that's just entering your password. Hacking is manipulating an application to do something that it wasn't meant to do. So that's why when I say, if I log into someone's Facebook, that's not hacking. If I make this do something that it's not supposed to do, that's hacking. So can anyone tell me what this is?
Phone?
What makes you think it's a
A
phone?
smartphone.
A smartphone? What's a smartphone?
Touch phone?
A what?
Touch phone?
A touch phone. Okay, so I've gotten like 5 different descriptions already in just 10 seconds. This has a calculator in it too, though. So isn't this a calculator?
Calculator slash phone.
A calculator slash phone, okay. This also has a map function, a GPS. So wouldn't this be a GPS?
Yeah.
So why do people call it a phone if it's a GPS?
Because it's the phone plus all that stuff.
So you can talk to people? Okay, so we're talking about a bunch of different things this thing can do, but yet you're calling it a phone. This is actually a computer. Why is it a computer? It has a processor, it has memory, it has an interface, it has storage, because it's also a camera too, right? So a computer isn't just what you check your email with. A computer is a set of electronics that has something that can act as a processor, a memory, storage, and can do some kind of reasoning. Now computers are actually very dumb things. They'll do exactly what you tell them to, no matter if it's right or wrong. If you tell it to do it over and over, it'll do the wrong thing over and over again. So when I say I work with computers, I work with not just computers you have at home, not just with laptops. I work with computers that are 7 feet tall, but I also work with computers that are this big. And they all do the same thing. They all do math. So that's how I got interested with it when I realized there's all these different types of computers. They can all do math. That means I can take any problem and I can essentially solve it anywhere on Earth I want, or even in space, as long as I have some sort of computer. It doesn't need to be a giant computer. It can be a computer I can hold in my hand, or it can be a computer that takes up the entire building. The only difference is how fast it does the calculations. So that's where my passion comes from. But I talked about having this attitude when I was younger, being a gangbanger. And, it was, partially friends that I had, partially not really caring about school. I used to skip class almost every day, or I'd skip at least one class almost every day. And, I felt like, when I was sophomore in high school, I was kind of thinking back to what I wanted to be when I grew up. I wanted to be an astronaut originally. And so, I'm skipping class all the time. There's no way I'm going to be an astronaut. Just like anything else. It's not going to happen. No matter how you cut it. People say, well, I'm not good at math. That's why I can't do math. I'm not good at math. I didn't know how to add when I was younger. I didn't know how to do calculus when I was younger. I didn't know stochastic processes and Markov chains and stochastic Markov chains. You know, it all piles up. You have to start somewhere, and where you start is the beginning. So, you know, it wasn't an overnight change. It was one of those things where, man, I don't like to go to class, but I know I have to. Well, I'm going to set a small goal for myself. See if I can go to school without skipping for this entire week. Once I kind of got used to that, I didn't like it, but I got used to it. So, okay, well, I'm going to see if I can turn in all of my homework all week long. It didn't matter what grade I got, as long as I turned it in, because I never did homework. And eventually, you know, just like anything else, you get used to it and you start building on it. And what was surprising was how fast it built up. Just going to class and just turning in my homework, not caring about the grades I got on the homework, all of a sudden, all of my grades went up by like 2 grades. I went from, well, not 2 grades, like F to D plus minuses. And eventually, by the time I was a junior and senior, it was not so much of an issue. The hard thing was, you know, I had friends that were supportive, that said, oh, you know, good for you, you should work hard. I also had friends that didn't care for it, said, well, you know, Edward's sold out, you know, that's not one of us. Unfortunately, you need to do what you gotta do. And when you're thinking about your future, and what you want to be, what you want to do, you have to be selfish. It sounds wrong, but you guys aren't going to be able to help anyone without being able to help yourselves first. Rebecca was mentioning that, you know, in science and technology, you'll make around $35 an hour. That's an average. With me, so I'm 30 years old. I barely finished college 2 years ago because I had to go to school for 10 years to become a doctor. I make $50 an hour, and I make more money than both of my parents do. So, would I say it was worth it from a financial point of view? Yes. But from, if you want to think about what is happiness, what is content, I would say more than accomplished, because I love what I do every day. I go to work to think and to use my imagination to create new types of computers and new ways of using computers. So it's not something where I do the same thing over and over. I have freedom where I said, okay, well, Edward's going to go off and think about problems, and he's going to create new things. And then from that, I'm creating something that no one else in the world has been able to create, or no one else in the world has even thought of. And to be able to do something like that, and I see things I do on TV and in news, you know, things with, you guys heard about North Korea,
Yeah.
Iraq, you know, things that I do affect things in North Korea and Iraq. And that is mind-blowing because, you know, here I was, just this little punk kid who thought he knew everything when he was 12, 13 years old. When really, you know, I kind of realized, okay, I don't know much. And I still don't know much, even though you have to call me doctor. So, all right, well, if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm here to help. There's no stupid questions, just the ones that aren't asked.
I got a question.
Yes.
What's your mentor, role model, motivation, and why?
Wow, that's the first time that's been asked. So my name is Ann Jensen, and you have my bio. I'm an industrial hygienist, and I can't tell you that my role model had anything to do with industrial hygiene, okay? Actually, I thought about this because we had the questions in advance. And I am 63, for those of you mathematicians out there. And I think, honestly, my greatest role model was my grandmother, Ovidia, from Norway. And I would have to say that she was my lifelong role model, and still is, actually, though she's been gone for many, many years. Thank you for asking that question. That was a good one.
Your grandmother?
Yes. Now, if I could just mention, I know that the emphasis was on, you know, kind of high-tech stuff, and I brought gadgets. I'm guilty of bringing gadgets, but I wanted you to know that I have 3 alpacas, and they were shorn yesterday along with, I have 2 alpacas. They were shorn yesterday along with 48 other animals. And it was a long day, and I wanted you to see their fleece. So I brought, this is from one animal, 3 bags of fleece.
What's an alpaca?
Like a llama, the smaller version of a llama.
I see those. They're
How big are they?
Well, this guy is 150 pounds. So they're not very big when you're considering like a cow or a large sheep. But the reason I wanted to bring this in for a science and technology activity is because this is a very special type of fleece, and it requires very special tooling at manufacturer sites. So there's a big engineering investment involved in the processing of natural fiber. So I thought it would be interesting for you to see that it isn't just about gadgets. Science and math has much to do with farming and animal husbandry activities as well.
So that's from an animal?
One animal, one 150-pound male
Ain't that
alpaca.
the stuff that goes in the walls? Insulation?
No, you're gonna have, after we're done here, you'll have to put your fingers in there. This fleece from an alpaca, many years ago, was used by the royal families in South America. Alpacas, the native alpaca version, they resided about 12,000 feet in the Andes. So they're pretty happy in our high desert environment.
And what ways have your educational experiences prepared you for this?
Well, unlike most of you guys, I really did not have a sense of what I wanted to do. And I was out of high school. I was in the Air Force for 3 years, active duty, and then 1 year active reserve, trying to think about, what did I want to do when I grew up. And so when I was 23, I started taking just some basic college classes at a community college in Minnesota, and came to have a real interest in chemistry. I had a really big interest in chemistry, math, science in high school, and I don't know why. It was just an interest of mine. And so I continued along the chemistry route in college, and very nearly went for a chemistry degree. I switched gears because I also have a really heavy interest in wildlife. And so I got a bachelor's degree then in wildlife biology. So I was a wildlife biologist for a number of years until the money ran out when the politics changed in the 1980 timeframe. So there was no more money, and you need money to raise a family. I had a 2-year-old at the time, and so I needed to be earning a living, and I was a single parent, so I needed to be earning a living. And so anyway, then I switched, right? I'm looking for other jobs. What can I do now? Flexibility, you got to be ready to move. And I started taking classes in industrial hygiene, and then decided that that's what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I've been a practicing industrial hygienist for 25 years now.
Is that the longest trade you
Yes,
worked?
exactly. Yep, exactly. It's been a good job.
That's the longest one you've worked on?
And in different companies.
Air Force and...
Right, but it's been with different companies. I worked for an enforcement agency in Oregon. I worked in a power industry, the semiconductor industry, and now I'm working at the lab.
What does hygienist or
right? So
what is it that it actually does?
So some people, when they hear industrial hygiene, they ask if I clean teeth, right? So of course that's not true. What an industrial hygienist does is they go into a work environment, pretty much any work environment, even an office work environment, and they evaluate the hazards that the employees that work there they could possibly be exposed to. And that could be, chemicals.
Just like stuff that messes the body.
Right, exactly. Well, if you had a chance to see the demonstration that I did, I do a lot of air monitoring, checking out atmospheres and work environments, depending upon where that is. I brought a sound level meter, so we could experiment with the sound level meter.
Aren't you the one that was doing the bubbles?
Yes.